Okay, so imagine, like, you're 5, right? And you are totally in love with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Mm.
But, like, every time you ask for one, you get grilled cheese. Day after day, grilled cheese.
Ugh, the worst.
Right. So you might start thinking, maybe love is, like, cheesy and gooey and not what I actually want.
Sounds rough.
I know, it sounds silly, but that's kind of like what this book, Getting It Right This Time, is getting at. But for grown-up love lives, you know.
Yeah, it's a brilliant analogy. It highlights how early experiences, they like shape our beliefs about love without us even realizing it. We're not talking about blaming parents or anything,
Right.
but more like understanding how those early interactions create a kind of blueprint for what we expect in relationships.
Exactly. And that's what the authors, they're a couple, Orna and Matthew Walters, call the love imprint.
Mm,
They're also holistic dating coaches, which already makes their story interesting, right?
for sure.
They help people find lasting love, but by digging deeper than just, swipe right tips.
What's fascinating is they both had their own struggles with love before, figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
Orna even had a violent partner in her past. She says that was a turning point in understanding why she kept attracting the wrong people.
It makes you wonder, if someone could go from that to a happy relationship, Andy helping others do the same, there must be something to their method, you know what I mean?
Well, absolutely.
And even Matthew, who had a seemingly, quote, normal upbringing,
Right.
still had love troubles. It kind of challenges the assumption that, like, if your childhood wasn't traumatic, you're good to go in the love department,
Absolutely. It suggests there are, like, deeper forces at play than just our upbringing,
Mhm.
And that's what the book really digs into, this
Yeah.
idea that love isn't something that just, like, happens to you, like a lucky lottery ticket or something.
Okay, so no more blaming bad luck in love.
The book argues we actually have way more control than we think.
Wow.
It might sound a little scary at first, I guess, because it means taking responsibility, but it's ultimately empowering.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the driver's seat, you can change direction.
I like that. So let's talk about this love imprint idea. What are some examples of how it, actually plays out in people's lives?
Well, think back to your grilled cheese versus PB&J analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say a child repeatedly sees their parents fighting. Their love equals chaos imprint might form.
Oh, wow.
As adults, they're unconsciously drawn to drama and instability,
Oh.
even if they say they want peace,
So they might find themselves dating people who are, emotionally unavailable or who create a lot of drama.
Exactly.
Almost like they're uncomfortable with too much calmness because it doesn't match their internal blueprint.
Precisely. Another example is like the I can't trust love imprint may be formed if a parent was absent or emotionally distant, right?
Ah.
This person might always be on guard, expecting disappointment,
Yeah.
pushing others away before they get hurt.
The classic self-sabotage.
Right.
I bet a lot of people listening are like, whoa, I know someone like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's Annie.
It's incredibly common. And then there's the I am invisible in love imprint. Perhaps from a childhood where their needs were constantly overlooked, right? They become the people pleasers, sacrificing their own desires, feeling unseen and unheard in relationships.
This is all starting to make sense. But, how do you actually figure out your own love imprint? It's not like we, consciously remember making these decisions as kids, right?
Right, it's all subconscious. But
Okay.
the book has some interesting exercises to help you uncover it.
Okay.
One that stood out to me was the relationship history chart.
Okay.
Basically, you map out your past relationships, looking for patterns, who you were attracted to, how the relationships unfolded, what ultimately went wrong,
Yeah.
That can reveal a lot about your underlying beliefs about love.
I'm already thinking about all my exes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say you do identify your love imprint, and maybe it's not the most positive one. What can you actually do about it?
That's where the really practical part of the book comes in.
Okay.
It's not just about dwelling in the past, it's about retraining your brain to create new, healthier patterns.
Right.
And they offer a ton of techniques. Some might seem small, but they kind of build on each other.
Okay, give me a sneak peek. Which one stood out to you the most?
One that I found both surprising and effective is their approach to affirmations.
Okay.
We've all heard of those, right? But they do it in a specific way, focusing on the positive A&D, the present moment.
Okay.
Instead of saying I will find love, you'd say, I am open to love. I am worthy of love,
Yeah.
It shifts your energy from yearning to actually embodying those qualities.
It's like fake it till you make it, but for your heart, right? I can see how that could start to change your vibe and who you attract.
Exactly. They also talk about mastering emotional authenticity,
Okay.
which is a little deeper than just, like, expressing any feeling that pops up. It's about being honest with yourself, Anigi, communicating in a way that's constructive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a key part of figuring out if someone's a good match for you, not just someone you're drawn to because of your love imprint.
So it's like being vulnerable without being a walking emotional explosion.
Yes. And they have this really cool tool called the Speak How You Feel template, or SHYFT. Basically, it gives you a structure for expressing feelings clearly and calmly without blaming the other person, which can be a game changer in arguments.
I'm already feeling less reactive thinking about it. I bet our listeners are too. What else is in this treasure trove of relationship wisdom?
Well, they emphasize something we all know is important but often struggle with: healthy boundaries. They're not about building walls, but understanding where you end and the other person begins.
Any memorable examples of how they explain this?
They use this really cool dartboard analogy.
Okay.
The closer someone is to the bullseye, the more access they have to your inner world, your thoughts, feelings, vulnerabilities. Yeah. And it's about consciously deciding who you let in and how close. Not just letting your love imprint make those decisions for you.
That's so visual. I can picture it perfectly.
Yeah.
All right, what other gems did they pack into this book? I'm ready for more.
One that might surprise you. They talk about self-love, but not in that cheesy me-first way. They emphasize it's not selfish, but actually essential for a healthy relationship.
It makes sense when you think about it. Like, if you don't value yourself, how can you expect someone else to?
Right.
But it's easier said than done, right? What are some of their tips for actually cultivating self-love?
One that intrigued me was this idea of, like, inner child dates.
Right.
Basically, you carve out time each week to do things that bring you joy, like you're taking your inner 5-year-old out for a fun time.
Wait, I love this. So it's not just bubble baths and face masks.
Right.
Those are great too.
Exactly.
It's about, like, reconnecting with that playful, carefree part of yourself that maybe got lost along the way.
Exactly. It could be like going to a museum, playing mini golf, anything that sparks that childlike wonder and reminds you that you're worthy of love and attention from yourself first and foremost.
I'm totally adding inner child date to my calendar right now. Okay, so we've got self-love, boundaries, emotional authenticity. What about actually making decisions in love? That's where I think a lot of people get stuck, for fear of making the wrong choice, overthinking everything.
They have a whole section on that. And one technique that stood out to me was flipping a coin, but not in, like, the let fate decide way.
Yeah.
It's more about revealing what your heart truly wants.
Okay, explain this, because it sounds like I'm, like, leaving my love life up to chance.
So you have a decision to make about a relationship. Maybe it's like, should I stay or should I go? You assign heads to one option, tails to the other, flip the coin. BT, the key is, like, pay attention to how you feel before it lands.
Okay.
Is there a part of you secretly hoping for heads or dreading tails?
Right.
That reveals what you actually want, even if your head is full of doubts.
Whoa, that's sneaky smart. It's like tricking your overthinking brain to get to the truth. I bet that's useful not just in love, but, like, all sorts of decisions.
Totally. And if you need, like, a little more structure, they have another exercise called the 3 doors, which helps you overcome fear and step outside your comfort zone.
Ooh, this sounds intriguing. How does it work?
So imagine, like, 3 doors labeled cold, warm, and hot. Cold door actions are things you do regularly, no fear. Warm are, like, little outside your comfort zone. Hot are things that really scare you, but, you know, would move you towards the relationship you want. Then you actually schedule time to do these actions, starting with warm, working up to hot.
Okay, so it's like dipping your toe in the water before diving headfirst.
Right.
It takes the overwhelm of making big changes, and it's, like, actually kind of fun, like a challenge.
Exactly. And they emphasize celebrating each step, even if it seems small. Every time you push past that comfort zone, it builds confidence and momentum.
All right, so much good stuff. What about the whole dating process? Any unique insights there?
They have this concept called dating to discover, which is about shifting your mindset. Instead of going on dates to find the one, you're going to, you know, learn about yourself, what you like, what you don't, what you truly value in a partner.
Which takes the pressure off, right? Because not every date has to be like a potential life partner. Like, let's see what happens, what I learned about myself in the process.
Precisely. It allows you to relax, be more present, and actually enjoy, like, the journey of dating, not just treat it like a means to an end. And they have this fascinating breakdown of like the 5 stages of relationships,
Okay.
which helps you understand the natural progression.
Okay, break it down for us. What are these stages?
First, there's like the romance stage, the honeymoon phase where everything's magical and effortless.
Yeah.
But then comes the power struggle stage where differences emerge and conflict is, inevitable.
I bet a lot of people call it quits here, thinking it's like a sign they're not compatible.
Right. But they argue this stage is actually like an opportunity for growth.
Okay.
If you can navigate those differences constructively, it builds a stronger foundation.
So it's not about avoiding conflict, but like learning to fight fair.
Exactly. And then comes the stability stage where you've established, deeper trust and understanding.
Okay.
Then commitment.
Yeah.
Full investment and like a desire for the long haul. And finally, bliss, reaching that deep connection and harmony. It's like a roadmap.
Yeah.
Knowing these stages exist can help you, not freak out when things get bumpy.
Absolutely. And they even have like a really interesting concept about the energy dynamics in relationships.
Wow, yeah.
The energetic dance of leading and responding.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, this sounds juicy. Tell me more.
They say we each have like a natural tendency in relationships. Do we feel more comfortable leading or responding? Wow. And who are we drawn to? It's about finding that complementary energy, that spark that keeps things interesting.
So sometimes opposites attract. Sometimes it's about finding someone who like gets us to the same beat.
Exactly. And they encourage, experimenting, figuring out what feels authentic for you.
Right. Yeah.
Because when the energy's aligned, it creates that effortless flow in the relationship.
I love that. Okay. Any other reads or takeaways from the book before we wrap up?
One that really stayed with me was their concept of wabi-sabi love, finding beauty in imperfection. It's a reminder that no relationship is perfect, and that's okay.
We're so conditioned to like look for the fairy tale. That can be a hard pill to swallow.
Right. But they argue that embracing those imperfections, the quirks and flaws, is what makes love, real and lasting.
And they have a really sweet story about Valentine's Day cards that illustrates this perfectly. Do you remember that one?
Yes. Orna expected like a big romantic gesture from Matthew, but he gave her a stack of handmade cards, with simple messages of appreciation. At first, she was kind of disappointed, but then she realized it was actually more meaningful because it reflected his genuine love and effort,
Yeah.
It's about appreciating those imperfect expressions of love, not like getting hung up on some idealized version.
That's so powerful because we can like really sabotage our own happiness by setting these unrealistic expectations.
Right.
Okay, before we wrap up, any final nuggets of wisdom from getting it right this time that really stuck with you?
One thing that resonated was their emphasis on like calming your nervous system when you're triggered in a relationship.
Okay.
Seems basic, but when emotions are running high, we literally can't think straight or communicate effectively.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right.
So what are some of their tips for actually calming down in the heat of the moment? Because in my experience, it's like way easier said than done.
They have several techniques, but one I found particularly helpful was focusing on your breath.
Okay.
Just taking a few like deep, slow breaths can interrupt that cascade of stress hormones and help you like shift back into a more rational state.
It's like hitting the pause button before you say something you'll regret.
Exactly. And they also talk about, using a mantra, something you repeat to yourself to calm your mind.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as like peace or I am safe.
Right.
Anything that helps you, recenter and detach from the emotional intensity.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that the next time I feel myself getting worked up.
It really helps.
Any other final takeaways from the book before we wrap up?
One thing that really stayed with me was their discussion of the couch exercise, which is designed for couples to work through conflict constructively.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is this couch exercise all about?
It's like deceptively simple but powerful.
Okay.
You literally sit down on a couch together and take turns speaking and listening without interrupting. The focus is on sharing your feelings and perspectives, not, attacking or blaming the other person.
So it's about creating like a safe space for open and honest communication, even when it's tough.
Exactly. And they emphasize the importance of using I language instead of you language.
Okay.
So instead of saying, you made me feel this way, you'd say, I felt this way when.
Right.
It takes the blame out of the equation and allows for more vulnerability.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall into that blame game when you're upset, but this is such a helpful reminder to like Focus on your own experience.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I love that they acknowledge that conflict doesn't have to be, like, a bad thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to deepen intimacy and understanding if you approach it with, the right mindset.
It's not about avoiding disagreements, but like learning to navigate them in a way that strengthens the relationship.
Exactly. And one final takeaway that I found incredibly inspiring was their emphasis on, creating a vision for your ideal relationship.
Oh, I love this. It's like manifesting, but for love.
Exactly. They encourage you to be really specific, like, what does your ideal relationship look like, feel like? What kind of activities do you do together? What are your shared values and goals?
Yeah.
Writing it all down and visualizing it can help you attract it into your reality.
It's like creating a blueprint for the love you desire. This book has given us so much to think about.
So much.
If you're listening and you're like ready to ditch the dating drama and create a love that truly lasts, we highly recommend checking out Getting It Right This Time.
It's a game changer. And remember, you have way more control over your love life than you think. It all starts with understanding yourself, your patterns, and taking those courageous steps towards the love you deserve.
So what resonated with you most from this deep dive? Have you ever felt stuck in a love pattern you couldn't break? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this deep dive with anyone who might benefit from these incredible insights. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.